Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Learn with Nisha ji. Today we are studying the class 10 science chapter 8, that is heredity. It's quite important chapter, so and small also, just watch this lecture properly and your chapter would be prepared. And if you have not subscribed the channel yet, you can subscribe the channel and stay tuned to Learn with Nisha ji to get good scores in science. So in this particular chapter we will be seeing about heredity. ठीक है, जैसे जो children होते हैं, how they develop variations and how they inherit some properties from their parents, right? So let's understand the first topic, that is accumulation of variation during reproduction, right? So with the diagram, it will be really clear. See, creation of diversity over succeeding generations. So this is the first generation, second generation, third generation, let's say. Okay. So you can see the body design is similar. This first generation is having these two children. Okay. So body structure is almost different, but some subtle differences occur, right? आप देख सकते हो, this is red, this is blue, this is blue, this is green, right? And from second to third generation, this individual has these two children, this individual has these two children. Again, body structure is same, some subtle differences again. Red remains red here, it's fine. Blue, इधर light blue हो गया, this blue becomes pink and so on. ठीक है? So this diagram it illustrates variation. ठीक है कि variation किस तरह आता है. तो why this variation, ये क्यों important होता है? Because इससे evolution होता है. Okay, जैसे for example bacteria इस तरह के variations show करता है so that it can withstand heat. For example, it will be surviving better in a heat wave. ठीक है? So these are the reasons. So here are two important questions. Let's discuss them one by one. First is, if a triad A exists in 10% of a population of an asexually reproducing species and a triad B exists in 60% of the same population. Okay, so which triad is likely to have arisen earlier? Okay, so see here in this case the genetic triads are passed down almost unchanged with variations arising only due to mutations. Okay, so if triad B exists in 60% of this population and triad A in 10%, so it is likely that triad B arose earlier. Okay, तो इसके main दो reasons हैं. First is spread over generations. Okay, so इसमें एक beneficial triad ये है that arises will gradually increase in frequency. ठीक है, the beneficial triad, it arises gradually an increase in frequency in the population through successive generations. Okay, so higher prevalence of triad B suggests means it has more time to spread as compared to triad A. Okay, and second one is mutation timing. So triad A may have arisen more recently, giving it less time to propagate throughout the population. Okay, so both the ways the answer becomes triad B arose earlier, right? Second, let's see, how does the creation of variations in a species promote survival? So variations, they will promote survival by increasing a species' ability to adapt to changing environments and challenges. Okay, so the key points are like, first one is adaptation to environmental changes. ठीक है, तो जैसे environment change हो रहा है उसमें if they have good resistance to diseases or the ability to thrive in different climates, that can be good. So second is reduction in competition. Triads बढ़ेंगे तो competition कम होगा. It allows individuals to exploit different niches or resources, right? Third is survival of some individuals. So there can be some events like natural disasters, epidemics. So variations की वजह से likelihood increases that at least some individuals which have traits necessary to survive will be existing, right? And last is, it is the basis of evolution. So variation from the raw material for natural selection driving the long-term evolution and diversification of species. ठीक है, इसमें एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल लेते हैं. इन अ पॉपुलेशन ऑफ बैक्टीरिया, अ म्यूटेशन कन्फरिंग एंटीबायोटिक रेजिस्टेंस विल अलाउ सम इंडिविजुअल्स to survive antibiotic treatment, ensuring species survival and reproduction in such conditions. Right? So let's discuss heredity. ठीक है. तो rules of heredity, they determine the process by which traits and characteristics are reliably inherited. ठीक है, देखते हैं how it happens. Sometimes see earlobe ही देखो आप. This is a free earlobe. This is attached earlobe. तो कुछ जनरेशन्स में आप देखते हो कुछ ह्यूमन पॉपुलेशंस के इस तरह के ईयर होते हैं, कुछ के ऐसे. सो दीज आर ड्यू टू हेरिडिटरी फैक्टर्स, राइट. सो रूल्स ऑफ इनहेरिटेंस ऑफ ट्राइट्स, इसमें मेंडल्स कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है, दे आर रिलेटेड टू द फैक्ट दैट बोथ फादर एंड मदर कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट प्रैक्टिकली equal amounts of genetic material to the child. Okay, तो पैटर्नल और मैटर्नल डीएनए दोनों का इफेक्ट आता है चाइल्ड पे, राइट. For each trait, there will be two versions in each child, right? So let's understand this better by the help of Mendel's experiments. So he is Gregor Johann Mendel, right? So he gave the experiments which we are going to study, heredity, right? So Mendel's experiments are very important. इसको हम ध्यान से समझते हैं. So Mendel used a number of contrasting visible characters of garden peas. ठीक है, round या wrinkled seeds, tall या short plants, white या violet flowers, and so on. ठीक है, he took pea plants with different characteristics, a tall plant and a short plant. ठीक है, produced progeny by crossing them and calculated the percentages of tall or short progeny. ठीक है, ये किया था उन्होंने. So in the first place, there were no halfway characteristics in this first generation or F1 progeny. No medium height plants were there. ठीक है, इसमें क्या हुआ, all tall plants were there. तो tall plants लिए, short plants लिए, crossing them he generated this progeny और सारे tall offsprings generate हुए. Okay, so this meant that only one of the parental traits was seen, not some mixture of the two. कोई mixture नहीं था. ठीक है. Now, were the tall plants in the F1 generation exactly the same as the tall plants of the parent generation? This is a question, right? So, this was tested by getting both the parental plants and these F1 tall plants to reproduce by self-pollination. ठीक है, अब by self-pollination they produced. Okay, so the progeny of the parental plants are of course all tall, right? However, the second generation, ठीक है, F1 की जब क्रॉसिंग हुई तो F2 जो जनरेट हुआ, the progeny of F1 tall plants are not at all tall. ठीक है, instead 1/4 of them are short. So this indicates that both the tallness and shortness traits were inherited in the F1 plants, but only the tallness trait was expressed. This led Mendel to propose that two copies of factor, now called genes controlling traits, are present in sexually reproducing organism. Okay, these two may be identical or may be different depending on the parentage. ठीक है, so this very important part is, जो हमने यहाँ पे क्रॉसिंग कराई थी तो सारे टॉल आए, बट जब टॉल और टॉल की क्रॉसिंग कराई तो 1/4 वर शॉर्ट, राइट. So we can consider capital T is tall, small t is short. तो इसमें दोनों के ही ट्राइड्स हैं, कैपिटल टी भी स्मॉल टी भी. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे जो जनरेट हुए 4 कॉम्बिनेशंस, दिस वन इज शॉर्ट, राइट. सो वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि अ सिंगल कॉपी ऑफ कैपिटल टी, देखो कैपिटल टी एक कैपिटल टी भी है, इट्स इनफ टू मेक द प्लांट टॉल. ठीक है, और जब दोनों कॉपी स्मॉल टी की हैं तो वो शॉर्ट होगा, राइट. तो जैसे कैपिटल टी जो ट्राइड है, इसको डोमिनेंट ट्राइड कहेंगे, डोमिनेट कर रहा है ये. ठीक है, और स्मॉल टी जो है वो रिसेसिव ट्राइड है. तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म्स है, डोमिनेंट ट्राइड, रिसेसिव ट्राइड. So now we will talk about pea plants. ठीक है, they show two different characteristics rather than one. They are bred with each other. ठीक है, what we are doing, you can understand it through this diagram. So cross fertilization you do, you obtain F1. Now self fertilization ratio would be 3:1 again, right? So next we see independent inheritance of two separate traits, shape and color of seeds. दो चीजें ले रहे हो आप. राउंड कैपिटल आर ग्रीन वाई वाई, ठीक है, रिंकल्ड आर आर, येलो वाई वाई। तो इनको आपने क्रॉस ब्रीड कराया, यू ऑब्टेन आर वाई एंड स्मॉल आर वाई। दिस इज F1, you get this. Now F1 आपने सेल्फ फर्टिलाइजेशन कराया, you obtain this F2. तो इसमें you have a huge variety of means variations you can see here, right? So we can understand how do these traits get expressed. Okay, so cellular DNA, it is the information source for making proteins in the cell. A section of DNA that provides information for one protein is called the gene of that protein. ये important होता है, ठीक है? So these genes will control the characteristics and traits जो हमें नजर आते हैं, ठीक है? Size, color, anything, right? So if the interpretations of Mendelian experiments we have been discussing are correct, then both the parents must be contributing equally to the DNA of progeny, right? So this is the way the rules of inheritance work. Okay. So Mendel very nicely explained this thing to explain the various species and all the things we observe around us, right? So now let us study like how we determine whether the offspring will be a male or a female. Okay. So let's see different species के लिए इसके पास different strategies होती है. Okay. So in a few reptiles, like temperature at which the egg is fertilized, it will determine whether it will be eggs will be male or female. Okay. Snails. In snails, the individual can like change whether it's a male or a female, right? Human beings. In human beings, it's genetically determined. Okay. So the genes which you inherit from your parents, they will decide whether you will be a boy or a girl, right? So the thing is, all the human chromosomes are not paired. The thing, like how we explain this, okay? So most human chromosomes, they have a maternal and a paternal copy, and we have 22 such pairs. But one pair, okay, one pair of chromosomes, it is not always having a perfect pair, okay? So in women, it is present as XX, okay, but in men, it is present as XY, right? So, once a child will inherit the X chromosome from the father, okay, mother will be X only, father से भी X आया तो it will be female, ठीक है? Father gives Y, mother gives X, it will be a male. This is the way it's determined, okay? So generally इस पे अगर question आता है, you can write a small paragraph and explain it using this diagram. So here's a set of important questions. Let's answer them. First is, how do Mendel's experiments show that traits may be dominant or recessive? Very important question, right? So Mendel ने जो experiment किया था, he did an experiment with pea plants to demonstrate the concept of dominance and recessiveness by observing how traits appeared in progeny, right? So first is monohybrid cross. So Mendel crossed purebred tall, that is capital T, and dwarf small t pea plants, right? In the F1 generation, all the plants were tall, suggesting that the tall trait is dominant and the dwarf trait is recessive, right? Second was F2 generation. When the F1 plants are capital T, small t, they were self-pollinated, and F2 generation showed a 3:1 ratio of tall to dwarf plants. This confirmed that the dwarf trait, though masked in the F1 generation, was present and could reappear, demonstrating recessiveness, right? So this is the first answer. Second is, how do Mendel's experiments show that traits are inherited independently? Okay, so Mendel's dihybrid cross experiment, it demonstrated the principle of independent assortment, right? He crossed the plants with two contrasting traits. Okay, like we can have round yellow seeds. Okay, round yellow seeds जिसको आप R कैपिटल Y से डिनोट करो, ठीक है? एंड रिंकल्ड ग्रीन सीड्स, ठीक है? रिंकल्ड ग्रीन को आप स्मॉल r एंड स्मॉल y, ठीक है? So F1 generation had all round yellow seeds. Okay, round yellow seeds they had, okay, showing dominance of round and yellow triodes. When F1 plants were self-pollinated, F2 generation exhibited 9 is to 3 is to 3 is to 1 phenotypic ratio, which included combinations of round yellow, round green, wrinkled yellow, wrinkled green. Okay. This showed that the inheritance of one triad, that is seed shape, did not influence the inheritance of other, that is seed color. Okay, confirming that the triads are like inherited independently. So this is a good experiment, right? Now let's see the third one. Third question says a man with blood group A marries a woman with a blood group O and their daughter has a blood group O. Okay. So is this information enough to tell you like which of the triads blood group A or O is dominant? Why or why not? So in this case, no, the information is not sufficient to determine whether blood group A or O is dominant. Okay. Reason is like blood group inheritance follows codominance and multiple alleles, okay, like IA, IB, and small I. IA and IB are dominant over small I. O is recessive, right? For the daughter to have blood group capital O, both parents must contribute to the recessive allele, right? Father could have been the genotype IAI, and the mother must have the genotype II. Okay. However, the question only mentions one specific case and it does not include other crosses or evidence to infer dominance of E and O. So that's why we cannot tell, right? Last one is how will we determine whether a child is a male or female in human beings, right? So it can be determined by the chromosomal composition inherited from the parents, right? First is chromosomal basis. So humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, so females have capital X, and males have capital X, capital Y. Okay, now fertilization, female contributes X chromosome in their egg. Males contribute either X or a Y chromosome in the sperm. And if the sperm carries an X chromosome, child is female, right? And if the sperm carries Y chromosome, child is male. So conclusion is that the sperm of the father will determine whether the child will be a male or a female, right? So let's see a summary of the chapter. So it says variations arising during the process of reproduction can be inherited, right? These variations may lead to increased survival of the individuals. तो ये basically benefit के लिए ही होता है, right? So sexually reproducing individuals have two copies of genes for the same triad. Okay. If the copies are not identical, the triad that gets expressed is called the dominant triad and the other is called the recessive triad. Okay. Triads in an individual may be inherited separately, giving rise to new combinations of triads in the offspring. Okay. So, like there are various factors in various species that determine whether the offspring will be male or female. Okay. So, in human beings, it depends on whether the paternal chromosome is X or Y. So, it should be X for girls, Y for boys, right? So, here come the exercise questions. So, first question is a Mendelian experiment consisted of breeding tall pea plants bearing violet flowers with short pea plants bearing white flowers. Okay. The progeny all bore violet flowers, but almost half of them were short. Right. So this suggests that the genetic makeup of the tall parent can be depicted as, तो इसका आंसर होगा basically C option. Let's see how. See, इसमें हमने जो केस देखा progeny, it shows violet flowers, right? ये हमने देखा था violet flowers, which means that the triad for violet flowers, capital W is dominant, right? So capital W will be dominant here. Then we know half of them are short, indicating that tall parent is heterozygous for height, capital T, small t. Okay? This will also be the case. क्योंकि homozygous tall capital T will not produce any short offspring, right? So this one will be okay for us. So the tall parent must be capital T small t W W. Right? So C is the correct option here. Right? Next, we come on to the second question. It says a study found that children with light colored eyes are likely to have parents with light colored eyes. Right? On this basis, can we say anything about whether the light eye color triad is dominant or recessive? Why or why not? Right? See, no, the answer would be no. We cannot determine whether the light eye color is dominant or recessive based on the study alone. Okay. So reason we can give, the study states that children with light colored eyes are likely to have, likely word is more important, okay? Parents with light colored eyes. This suggests inheritance, but it does not clarify if the light colored eyes are dominant or recessive. ये हम नहीं बता सकते, ठीक है? तो डोमिनेंस या रिसेसिवनेस को एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए वी नीड क्रॉसेस बिटवीन इंडिविजुअल्स विद लाइट एंड डार्क आई कलर्स and we want analysis of phenotypes in the progeny, right? So this is the second one. Now third one is outline a project which aims to find the dominant coat color in dogs, right? So we can design a project like which has an objective to determine the dominant coat color in a population of dogs through genetic analysis, right? So what all steps we can follow? First is observation. We can identify and record the coat colors in a diverse group of dogs. Second is controlled breeding. We crossbreed the dogs with known coat colors such as black and white. VW आप mark कर सकते हो. And we note the coat colors in the progeny, right? Third, we can do analysis. If all progeny of one coat color, they have one coat color, it is likely dominant. If a mix is observed, we use Mendelian ratios to deduce dominance, right? Fourth point, we do data collection. We repeat with other coat color pairs for comprehensive analysis. And finally, fifth step, we conclude. We establish the dominant color based on consistent patterns across the experiments, right? So this is the way we can do a project for this. Now, last question, fourth one. It says, how is the equal genetic contribution of male and female parents ensured in the progeny? So it is ensured by the process of gamete formation and fertilization, right? So gamete formation, male and female parents, they produce haploid gametes, okay? Sperm and egg via meiosis, and each gamete contains half the chromosome set N, okay? And for fertilization, during fertilization, the male gamete and female gamete will fuse and they restore the diploid chromosome number to N. So each parent contributes an equal number of chromosomes to the zygote, which ensures equal genetic contribution, right? So this completes the chapter. I hope all the things are clear. If you have not subscribed the channel yet, you can subscribe the channel and get regular updates regarding video uploads and improve your score in the subject. So stay tuned to learn with Nisha ji, and thanks for watching the video.